people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
The undisputed super featherweight champion of the world, Alicia, the Baumgardner.
That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. What was Amanda Serrano's address to Claressa Shields in light of the melee between them, the feud? Sincerely, MVP and Alicia Baumgardner aren't looking to disrespect anyone. As a team, we are doing huge things and wish Claressa and anyone else not part of us all the best. Yeah, we read through that one already in a previous video. This was Claressa Shields' response. You, MVP, and Alicia love throwing rocks then hiding your hands. Just leave me the hell alone. Your stupid-ass promoter, Nikisa Badarian, stays tweeting false stuff 24/7, like I won't expose the truth. They came in the game hating, tried to give you and promote you off of my hard work and name. Now, I'm convinced that Claressa Shields has mental problems, because from the moment that Jake Paul made his entry into the sport of boxing, it wasn't him that said anything about Claressa, it was actually the other way around. I take you back to December of 2020, when Mike Tyson staged his pay-per-view with Roy Jones Jr., and on the undercard, Jake Paul was boxing a novice like himself in Nate Robinson, who he knocked out. And this was Claressa Shields' reaction, without any provocation from Jake Paul, without Jake Paul saying a word to her. This is what she had to say.
168, and I will beat the shit out of him. They're making a mockery of boxing, okay? And I just say that because there are so many fighters who deserve to be on that platform under Mike Tyson and Roy Jones that did not get the opportunity. Jake Paul is making his money. He doing his thing. But, you know, stay away from us real fighters. And anybody out there that say, oh, Jake Paul will destroy her because she's a woman, I'm the greatest woman. So, no, Jake Paul won't do nothing with me. And if he think he can come see me. And I ain't talking about sparring. Me and him can set up a fight. We can set up a fight and all the money go to the Flint water crisis here in Flint, Michigan. But I'm going to whoop his ass.
Prior to this, there was no mincing of words, no back and forth between Jake Paul and Claressa Shields. When you talk about casting the first stone, Claressa did that. What was Jake Paul supposed to do? Bend over and take it? Why is a two-time gold medalist and an undisputed champion worrying about a social media influencer dabbling in the world of boxing? What business is that of hers? So let's establish that the disrespect, the whole thing, it starts with Claressa, not Jake Paul. You claim that they're trying to promote Amanda Serrano off your name? What, because somebody at MVP said that they think Amanda Serrano is the greatest woman of all times, that she's the GOAT. What are you gonna do, gatekeep how they should feel, what they should think, and what they should say when you borrowed that terminology from Muhammad Ali? You didn't invent it. All you did was add a W, while trashing his daughter, Layla, and diminishing her legacy, which we'll talk about in another video. Let's get it straight. Claressa Shields is the catalyst for most, if not all, of these feuds. She starts them, then plays the victim, then acts like it's people pestering her. You're pestering them. Amanda Serrano, on more than one occasion, has tried to take the high road where Alicia Baumgardner chose to engage. Oh yeah, she chose violence. That's why I love her. Responding to Claressa Shields' comment, Alicia said, "You're loud, emotional, and wrong. A question was asked and it got answered. Simple. I don't throw rocks and hide my hands. I stand on everything I say. I don't speak on you. I don't move like you. And I don't need your name to shine. Everything I've built came from discipline, favor, and facts, not drama. If the truth feels like a threat, that's something you need to sit with. I'm focused on legacy. You're chasing noise.
Chasing attention. Because whenever somebody enters into the spotlight, that's right around the time these feuds start.
Should say that's when Clarissa chooses to start them. Clarissa who said, man, shut the hell up, Alicia. You and your weak-ass promoter mentioning me. You're the same mofos that went on a I'ma Fight Clarissa Shields tour during your ped case, knowing damn well you are too small. Nikisa sitting there, oh, Clarissa's 190.
Oh, wait a minute. You think that Alicia's too small? Then why were you calling out Katie Taylor?
Nikisa sitting there, oh, Clarissa's 190. Then you, if she wants to make the biggest payday of her life, you ain't ever made nowhere near the money I've made. I hope they're paying you good. I'm not emotional. I'm tired of y'all. Leave me alone.
Broad is mental because she's the one that starts all this stuff, and people tend to forget this all begins with Clarissa Shields saying that she's willing to drop down to 147 to fight the girls at 147 after spending a lot of time calling out Katie Taylor.
So that when Alicia Baumgardner caught wind of this, she volunteered, saying that if Clarissa is going to come down to 147, she'd be willing to meet her there.
Clarissa didn't take kindly to that.
She didn't like that. She viewed it as a betrayal, which is the funniest thing because just the other day, after Michaela Mayer beat Sandy Ryan, she named Clarissa Shields as a potential opponent for the future.
And Clarissa didn't fly off the handle about it. She didn't view it as a betrayal.
She didn't have the same reaction with Michaela that she had with Alicia.
Why?
And I don't see anybody bring it up. I don't see anybody talking about it. That Clarissa did not have the same adverse reaction when Michaela challenged her as when Alicia challenged her. Why is it all right for one and not the other?
Michaela used to fight at 130 the same as Alicia.
And Alicia didn't stop there. She addressed the critics, the ones who deliberately misconstrued my thumbnail.
The Matt Brunch boxing guy.
The one who willfully chose to spin a narrative based on a caricature of Clarissa Shields that he likened to Jim Crow cartoons in the Jim Crow era,
in an effort to spin a narrative and, in effect, elicit outrage. And it actually worked.
To which Alicia Baumgardner responded, let's stop the bullshit. I responded to my image, period. I didn't create or co-sign anything beyond that. And the fake outrage? It's selective. Clarissa was just making colorist comments about light-skinned women, but now it's all about protection and injustice. Please, don't twist the narratives to fit your emotions. This isn't about race. It's about accountability, egos, and timing. You only speak up when it benefits you.
Exactly. When Clarissa Shields made those comments about light-skinned women not but 1 or 2 weeks ago, where was the outrage? Where was the march?
What I see is you guys have made a decision within yourselves that it's okay to disrespect everybody else.
An unspoken agreement.
That Clarissa can say whatever she wants, whenever she wants, about whoever she wants, without provocation, and it's okay. But if any semblance of that energy is returned to her...
well, that's a capital crime. That's disrespectful.
Here's the problem with this little agreement you've made. The world doesn't have to play by your rules. The world doesn't have to view Clarissa through the lens that you do. That's how freedom of speech works.
The world doesn't have to handle her with kid gloves on. The world doesn't have to pull punches.
I don't have to do a goddamn thing on your terms or hers.
Who do you think you are?
Who does she think she is? Because you picked up 2 gold medals in what are the most barren divisions in the amateurs and picked up even more vacant titles in the pros, you think you're owed adulation. You think you're owed respect. No, respect is something you have to earn.
You're just an athlete, not a municipal servant.
You're not a soldier, a senator, a congressman. I sure as hell don't have to pledge my fealty to you based on your accolades that you use to glorify yourself.
3 separate alphabet organizations manufacture 3 separate vacant titles to gift wrap for Clarissa, and I'm supposed to ooh and ah over it?
Well, she fights a 42-year-old who's only got 5 pro fights and never fought in a 10-rounder.
Bitch, please.
I'm supposed to pretend that's the same as Amanda fighting Katie or Katie fighting Chantel.
Bitch, please.
Sinicia fighting Yocasta fighting Tina.
You're trying to control the narrative, and you don't have the power to do that. That's why you're outraged. You think you can force the world to see things through your lens, and you can't. I'm not going to.
I don't care how many more vacant titles she picks up. She's obnoxious, and I don't like her.
I don't have to.
feuding Zepeda, and we have our deal in place with Zepeda. So I have no doubt that this fight will happen. I have no doubt that Shakur Stevenson, William Zepeda, Golden Boy, we will make it happen. There were a few.
Would seem that the conditions for a Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda fight are bettering. Shakur Stevenson himself took to his social media and stated, "Excited about my next fight. It was a misunderstanding between Turkey and the team. My apologies on my part for overreacting. Let's work." Shakur's issue, as we all know, was that the initial number that he was given for a William Zepeda fight had changed because the fight might not happen in Saudi as originally planned, and for that, he blew a gasket. What I think Turkey is fast finding out about these boxers, particularly the American ones, who seem to have a problem, is they're temperamental and petulant, like children. I mean, I don't think he had much experience working with pugilists before his entry into the sport a little over a year ago. A little over a year later, he has to have come to the realization that it's like dealing with children. Oscar's interview, it almost gave off the impression that he thinks he'll be at the helm of the promotion when Turki El Sheikh still seems to be involved, at least according to Shakur. And so, the fight could happen on a Ring Magazine card, it could happen on a Riyadh season card later on in the year, which would service as neutral terrain, so to speak. Neutral for Shakur, neutral for William, that it's not Golden Boy at the helm of the promotion. Well, I'm sure that's how Oscar would want it. His ring, his officials, his judges, his promotion. Well, I'm sure that's how Oscar would want it. Still a very intriguing fight because stylistically, William is challenging. For every one punch Shakur Stevenson throws, William might throw 4 and 5 punches, at which point Shakur's going to be faced with a question. Is he going to hold his ground or is he going to move? Can he negotiate real estate under pressure? He hasn't actually faced a pressure fighter yet. The entire time he was over there at Top Rank, he didn't fight a fighter like William. That's not saying he can't handle him, that's saying that we haven't seen it. Hey, you know Shakur Stevenson's got those hand issues. So many of these young fighters try their hardest to emulate Floyd Money Mayweather right down to the hand issues, right down to the brittle bones. Out of a shell guard. But it's good news that things are moving along and we may yet get to see Shakur Stevenson in there with a live animal. And it would seem his old buddy, Keyshawn Davis, who's a champion at the same weight, is going to be facing a live animal of his own as he's set to defend his WBO title against Edwin de Los Santos in Norfolk Homecoming. Keyshawn Davis has an opponent for his first world title defense. The WBO lightweight champion will face Edwin de Los Santos on Saturday, June 7th. At the Scope Arena in Norfolk, Virginia, the fight brings the 26-year-old back home, where he fought at the same venue in November of last year, securing a stunning second-round knockout over Gustavo Lemos. The Davis versus De Los Santos matchup has been the subject of speculation in recent weeks, but it's now official. Norfolk and the 7 cities get ready for another spectacular show. Davis said in a Top Rank press release, "My first main event at the Scope Arena was like something out of a movie, and the sequel will be even better. Kelvin and Keon, his brothers, will set the tone, and I'll make it a 3-0 evening for DB3. Edwin has had a lot to say recently, but he will be awfully quiet after I get through with him on June 7th. So this fight coming together is good news for more reasons than one. It's not just the fight itself, and a chance for Keyshawn Davis to once again put on a show in front of a hometown crowd. It's because this is part of an alliance, a partnership moving forward between the PBC and Top Rank to match their fighters against each other, when for the longest time they were locked in a Cold War. What is the changing landscape in the American boxing scene now sees the two established outfits doing more business with each other. And I was skeptical at first as to whether or not this would be a fruitful partnership, but this is encouraging that they actually made this fight. So now, maybe they will make others, like the long-awaited Yanibek Alimkhanalai versus Carlos Adames fight, or Alara fight. And what about the proposed O'Shaquie Foster versus Stephen Fulton fight that would see Stephen Fulton moving from 126 up to 130 to challenge O'Shaquie for his WBC title? Probability of those fights coming into fruition is increased by this fight materializing. This isn't the biggest fight
for Keyshawn Davis, Edwin de Los Santos, but it is a chance.
An opportunity for Keyshawn Davis to make a statement against the common opponent between him and Shakur Stevenson. We know that when Shakur fought Edwin, to a lot of people, he laid an egg. So if Keyshawn goes in there and he blasts this guy out of there, like he got Gustavo out of there, like he got Denis Berenchik out of there, it's going to seem a statement to the casual observer, the one that doesn't pay as much attention as either I or you, if Keyshawn knocks him out and makes it look easy.
And I think he's going to, because unbeknownst to the casual observer, Edwin de Los Santos hasn't fought in a long while.
Well over a year to be exact. He hasn't seen action since he dropped that decision to Shakur Stevenson in November of 2023. Yes, it's been that long, and it would seem that Simpson Lukowicz has done a piss-poor job of keeping his man active, because now he's going into another world title fight with a lot of ring rust to shake off.
What's the rationale?
Samson's?
Yeah.
Well, look, there are harsh truths when it comes to the sport of boxing. Edwin de Los Santos, God bless him, Samson's not going to be able to turn him into a big draw, a big ticket seller. He's not the kind of fighter that's going to go on to become a pay-per-view attraction. The most money you can make off of him is what other promoters are willing to pay you to borrow him.
It's the only way you're going to make money off of this guy.
According to Top Rank's Carl Moretti, the standing offer for Edwin was to the tune of $400,000, 400 G's.
Which is a pretty good offer for a guy who's coming off a loss and hasn't fought in over a year.
I like what this fight means, because I know that Keyshawn Davis' stay in the lightweight division is not going to be a long one. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he only has one more fight after this one before he moves up to 140 pounds.
Maybe he moves up right after this fight, or maybe he squeezes in one more in the lightweight division.
But he isn't going to be there long, because physically, in terms of body type, he's a bigger guy than Shakur Stevenson, and his body is still growing. So moving up to 140 at a time when you're making nice with the PBC, and at a time when there are two belts on that side of the street.
Now do you see what I'm getting at?
Alberto Puello has the WBC, and Gary Antoine Russell has the WBA, and these become doable fights as a result of this alliance. That if and when Keyshawn moves up there, he won't be isolated.
He may yet have access to those fighters.
And not experiencing what Terrence Crawford experienced years ago upon his ascent from 140 to 147 when the PBC willfully froze him out. Keyshawn Davis.
He may not have that problem. He may have the opportunities that Terrence didn't have.
Very energetic fighter outside of the ring and energetic inside of the ring, which is important.
He's got star power.
I dare say he has more star power than his old buddy, Shakur Stevenson. And I don't say that to slight him, but pure boxers like Shakur have never had it easy, whereas Keyshawn Davis is the right blend of skill, brains, and brawn.
Keyshawn's a boxer-puncher, and a boxer-puncher-based style is a lot easier for a casual audience to digest than pure boxer.
It's not that pure boxers aren't good. It's not that pure boxers aren't skilled. It's that pure boxers are often not entertaining. It's not a fan-friendly style.
Keyshawn's is.
He has the stopping power to assert himself mid-range to inside more than a pure boxer would, more than a pure boxer would like to. It's why I'm confident that when he's in there with Edwin, he's going to knock him out.
In front of a hometown crowd. He drew a lot of people the last time. I think he's going to draw even more the next.